Yesterday morning, a mom living out of her car with her son had that car taken away. Repossessed. Gone. Yesterday afternoon, the same day, she got offered a job paying $69,000 a year. She starts in 5 days. The training site is 50 miles from where she's sleeping, and she has no car, almost no cash, and nowhere to stay. Stick around, because the fix here isn't what you'd expect. Hey Profiteer, Eric here. Welcome back to Real Money Stories. Today's post comes from the povertyfinance subreddit, and it's one of the more urgent ones I've read in a while. Before I read it, here's the framing detail that matters. This isn't a hypothetical, how do I budget better question. This is a 5-day countdown. Let me read it to you in their own words. I'm in a brutal catch, 22, and need some real advice or local resources. My son and I have been experiencing homelessness. I've been living out of my car and Yesterday morning, my car got repossessed. Then yesterday afternoon, I got a life-changing job offer paying $69,000 a year. It will completely pull us out of this crisis. The catch is that the first 6 weeks of training are insane. Peter's Mo, and I'm in IL. After training, the job moves close by. I start in 5 days. I'm out of money, staying in my car is no longer an option, and I have zero funds right now to pay for rides. I have already called every local charity and organization, with no luck since so many are struggling. I don't have family or friends who can help. It's just my elderly parents, and my friends aren't able to help either. Ubering 50 miles each way isn't an option without funds, and I don't have the money up front to file for bankruptcy to try and force the car back. Does anyone know of any local programs that help verified new hires with emergency transportation rideshare vouchers or short-term transit assistance? Or has anyone had luck negotiating a car back with a lender by showing a high-paying offer letter? I'm not looking for a handout, but I'm fighting not to let a transportation barrier destroy this chance to change our lives. Any ideas or advice would mean everything. Okay, first thing I want to say reading this. This is somebody who did everything right and still got hit twice in 1 day. She kept working through shift while living in her car. She landed a job most people would be thrilled to get, and the same 24 hours that gave her a way out also took away the one tool she needed to reach it. That's not a money management failure. That's just brutal timing, and I don't want to gloss past how hard that is to sit inside of. Just a friendly reminder before we get into it, this episode is intended for entertainment and education purposes only and should not be considered financial or legal advice. I've been writing about money for over a decade, and the thing most articles get wrong about a situation like this is they jump straight to budgeting advice. Nobody needs a spreadsheet 5 days before their car gets taken. What they need is to know exactly which phone calls actually move the needle in what order, starting today. So here's what I'd probably do in her shoes, and I want to walk through this like an actual to-do list, because that's what this moment calls for. First framework, I'd call it the right to cure window. Under state lending law, most auto loans give you a window after repossession, sometimes 10 days, sometimes 20, where you can cure the default. Pay what's owed, or in some states redeem the full balance and get the car back before the lender sells it at auction. And here's why that matters. Lenders don't actually want your car. A repossessed vehicle sitting on a lot costs them money and usually sells for less than the loan balance. That's the leverage. A $69,000 offer letter in writing from a real company is exactly the kind of proof a loss mitigation department wants to see before they agree to a payment plan. My advice, call the lender's loss mitigation line today, not the general customer service number, and ask specifically for the reinstatement amount and deadline in writing. Second framework, and I think this one gets skipped constantly, the ask before you start rule. New employers, especially ones hiring for a $69,000 role, often have discretionary funds for exactly this kind of emergency. Signing bonuses, relocation stipends, even just an advance on the first paycheck. And here's the mechanism. HR departments would much rather spend a few $100s getting a strong hire to day one than lose that hire entirely and restart a search. She has nothing to lose by calling her new manager or HR today, explaining the transportation gap honestly, and asking if training can be pushed a few days or if any travel assistance exists. Companies say yes to this more than people expect because the alternative costs them more. Now here's where it stops being textbook. The obvious next move is to lean harder on local charities, and she already tried that. Every organization is stretched thin right now. So the smarter move isn't calling more charities, it's calling 211. That's the national referral line that sits on top of every local program, food banks, transportation vouchers, workforce boards, all of it in one place. And there are nonprofits built specifically for this exact scenario, groups like Good News Garage or Vehicles for Change, that donate or heavily subsidize cars for working parents who've lost transportation. The reason this beats a general charity search is simple. These programs exist because verified job offer, no car, is a common enough story that someone already built a pipeline for it. She's not describing an unusual problem. She's describing a problem with an existing solution, she just hasn't found the right door yet. Third framework, and this one surprised me when I first researched it years ago, the bankruptcy fee waiver. She mentioned not having the money up front to file. Most people don't know that federal courts let you request a fee waiver. It's literally called informa pauperis, or apply to pay the filing fee in installments. It's not instant, and it won't get the car back in 5 days, so it's not the 5-day fix. But it's worth knowing for the weeks after because it removes "I can't afford to file" as a permanent roadblock. Just a quick note here, I'd always suggest talking to a qualified financial advisor or a local legal aid attorney about your specific situation before filing anything. Laws vary by state and by lender. Fourth, and this is the longer term piece once the dust settles, once that first paycheck lands, I'd point her towards something like the 50-30-20 framework, not because it's fancy, but because after a crisis like this, having any structure at all rebuilds a sense of control. 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings and debt. The why here matters. After months of survival mode, the goal isn't to optimize, it's just to have one system that says you're safe now in a way a bank balance alone doesn't. The specific numbers in this post were a $69,000 salary and a 5-day deadline, but the principle underneath all of it is universal. When a crisis hits, the fastest way out is rarely a bigger emergency fund you don't have yet. It's knowing which institutions, lenders, employers, government hotlines already have a process built for exactly your situation and asking them directly instead of assuming the answer is no. That's true whether the gap you're facing is 50 miles or $500. If you found this helpful, share it with someone dealing with the same thing. Just a friendly reminder that this episode is intended for entertainment and education purposes only and should not be considered financial or legal advice. Until next time, stay profitable.